At 90 years old, when most people believed life should move quietly toward rest, she woke before dawn in the frozen heart of Yakutia, where the air itself felt sharp enough to cut skin, and the temperature sank to an unforgiving minus 71 degrees Celsius. Her name was known only to the land and the animals she cared for, and that was enough. Outside her wooden hut, the snow stretched endlessly, glowing blue under the weak Arctic light. The wind howled like a living creature, warning anyone who dared to step outside. But she did not hesitate. She wrapped her worn fur coat tighter, tied her boots with steady hands shaped by decades of survival, and stepped into the storm, because her snow sheep were out there, and they were in danger. The sheep were more than animals to her. They were her family, her purpose, and the reason her heart still beat with strength. She had raised them since they were lambs, bottle-feeding some during harsh winters, protecting them from storms, and talking to them as if they understood every word. That morning, she sensed something was wrong. The dogs were restless, the silence too heavy. Then she heard it in the distance, low and terrifying, the echoing chorus of wolves. Not one or two, but many. In Yakutia, wolves move like shadows, and when hunger drives them, they gather in numbers that can overwhelm even the bravest hunter. People said there were hundreds, maybe 1,000, spreading across the frozen plains like a living wave. Fear tried to rise in her chest, but it found no space. Her life had taught her that fear wastes energy, and energy is life in the Arctic. She took her staff, an old rifle she had used more for warning than killing, and began walking toward the pasture. Every step was a battle. The cold burned her lungs, her eyelashes froze together, and the wind pushed against her fragile body as if trying to turn her back. But her mind was clear. She remembered every winter she had survived, every loss, every moment when giving up would have been easier. Those memories became her armor. As she approached the herd, she saw dark shapes moving against the white horizon. Wolves. Their eyes glowed faintly, watching, waiting, testing. The sheep huddled together, trembling, sensing death in the air. Any rational person would have turned back, would have accepted that nature is cruel and unstoppable. But she did not believe survival was about strength alone. It was about courage, presence, and the refusal to surrender what you love. She stepped forward, planting her feet in the snow like roots, and shouted with a voice that carried the weight of 90 years. It was not loud, but it was unbreakable. She fired her rifle into the air, not to kill, but to declare that she was there. The sound cracked through the frozen silence like thunder. The wolves paused. Some circled, others growled, confused by the small human standing between them and easy prey. She raised her staff, waving it, moving slowly but deliberately, making herself larger, stronger than her body suggested. Her heart pounded, but her eyes were steady. She spoke to the wolves as if they could understand, telling them to leave, telling them that this ground was not theirs today. Minutes felt like hours. The cold gnawed at her bones, her hands numbed, her breath turning shallow. One wrong step, one moment of weakness, and the wolves would rush in. But she did not retreat. She stood as she had stood against every storm life had thrown at her. And slowly, almost unbelievably, the wolves began to retreat. Hunger still burned in them, but something stronger met them that day, an unyielding human spirit. One by one, they faded back into the endless white, until only the wind remained. When it was over, she leaned on her staff, her body shaking, not from fear, but from exhaustion. The sheep were safe. She gently guided them back toward shelter, whispering calm words, her breath fogging the air. By the time she returned to her hut, the sun was dipping low, painting the snow in shades of gold and pink. She sat by the fire, hands aching, heart full. She did not think of herself as brave or heroic. She simply did what had to be done. Her story spread far beyond Yakutia, not because of the wolves or the cold, but because of what it proved. Strength does not fade with age. Courage is not measured in muscle or speed. Even when the world tells you that you are too old, too weak, or too small to stand against overwhelming odds, your spirit can still rise taller than fear. At minus 71 degrees, surrounded by danger, a 90-year-old woman reminded the world that love